Today I have the honor of being with.
Lucia, hi everyone. I'm Lucía Conti Guardia. I will be with you today at A Good Day CQ.
And Lucia, could you tell us a little bit about your role at CQ?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the group manager right now. My role is basically to work with the production team leads and then PMs to help them on their day to day and make sure things are going smoothly.
Amazing. And as usual, I'm Sophie. I'm your marketing associate, and I'm going to be learning a bit more about Lucia's role, kind of what her visions are for the company, and how she thinks, we at CQ can embrace this strange period of working from home. So, again, this series is to really connect the team internally and to share a little bit about kind of the work that we are doing with those who may not know already. So the first thing that I'll ask you is, where in the world are you? You look like you're very cold right now. And
Yes.
what are you drinking? What's in your
Okay.
cup?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, yeah, I'm actually in winter. This is on Calafate, so it's a place in the south of my country, Argentina, and you can go and see the glacier. And I absolutely love winter and cold and all of that. So I was there a couple of months ago, and I absolutely loved it. So that's where I am today. And well, in my mug, well, I don't see, or there, you see it? Okay. It says I don't do mornings because I'm actually a night owl and I have coffee on it. Like, I'm a coffee fan, so I'm always drinking coffee.
I have to agree with you there. I am also drinking an iced coffee. So I'm actually myself, I'm based in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, really hot here at the moment, which is really unusual for this time of year. Normally we get kind of the warmer weather later in like the latter half of June, but this is really unusual. So I have my iced coffee to cool me down.
Nice.
However, today I am in Amsterdam, coming to you
I
from
see
Amsterdam, the
that.
Netherlands. Because this is actually a place that I used to go in university once a year, with my classmates, with my friends. I love it there so much. The weather is beautiful, the scenery, the buildings,
Yeah.
the I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, but this waffle, those caramel you put on top
Yeah.
of coffee and it melts the caramel. Oh, I love it there so much. And sadly, I can't go this year because of restrictions.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year. But for now, this works. I'm super
Yeah.
interesting that, Argentina has glaciers because I didn't, you think of like a hot country, you don't think of the glaciers. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we do have a lot of them. Well, yeah, no, a lot of them because it's a very long country. So actually,
Yeah.
a large part of it is like in the south, and there you have a lot of ice and snow and all of that. Where I live, in reality, I don't get a snow or glaciers or anything, but yeah, we have some.
That's incredible. I'm gonna have to go because I also I love the cold. Last time, I don't know if everyone watched, but last time I was coming to you from Quebec, which is also very
Mhm.
cold. So
Yeah.
I do like the cold. All right, let's get started with some questions
Okay.
about you and your role. So I guess, we're working from home. So what are the three things that you cannot live with during these
Yeah.
trying times?
Well, actually, working from home is not new to me. So actually, I have been a remoter forever. So, it's a little bit of a different situation, but I do have my key three items anyway. One, the first one, the most important one for me, I don't know if it's a thing, but more of a space, is to have your own space, right? It doesn't matter if it's like a room or a corner or whatever you can have. I think it's very, very important to have this kind of mental separation. So even though I have my home office in an extra spare bedroom, but then when I finish work, it's like, okay, I'm done. This is my office and this is my house. Because if you have like the computer in the in a common area, it feels like you're always in the same space and doing the same thing. So for me that's key. Then a good chair. We sit down a lot of hours, so I think that having a good chair to support you during the day is very, very important. And especially when you work from home, you need to choose your own chair and make sure that it's comfy and all. And then the third thing, I'm not sure this applies just for remote work, but in general, but I'll take the liberty here and say that my notebook, it's very important for me to make sure I have everything that I need organized in a way that makes sense for me. So those three things I would say are key.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree about the having your own space thing. I had a period when we first went into lockdown where I had such a tiny apartment in Greater New York that I didn't have any space to like set up a
Mm,
desk and a computer, and so I was working from my bed. So I kind of come to appreciate having a desk and having like a setup that you come to and that's your workspace.
mhm,
Um, yeah,
absolutely.
and it's finding that balance as well, right? It's like because I don't just do work at my computer. Sometimes I'm just using my computer at the weekend, and it's really hard to
Yeah.
disconnect because it feels like you're at work. So
Yeah.
it's
I mean, there are some people that don't mind, and I envy those. I think that's great. But I know a lot of people that work from their bedroom or from their living room, and they don't mind. It's like, okay, I turned off the computer, and here I am with all the things. But I really need the cutoff
yeah,
transition. So I'm happy for
absolutely.
those who can.
Oh, me too. I'm very envious. Okay, so in saying that, you say that you've been working remote pretty much since your start at CQ, so this is not new to you. So I guess you kind of have your routine laid out. So could you walk me through like a typical day for you
Yeah.
working from home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like after I get ready, in the morning, I do spend a solid 20 minutes preparing my breakfast. I think that's very important. First, I spend like 20, 30 minutes getting ready, just taking my time, listening to some music if I feel like it. And then I spend 15 to 20 minutes getting my breakfast ready. So coffee, some bread, some fruit, and a very large glass of water that I bring with me. So I need to kind of prepare all of that and get it ready. That's kind of my first step. If I rush through any of those two, getting ready and getting breakfast ready, I feel that I start running the day. So I really need that, first steps done, at my own pace. Then I go through my emails. Generally, the day before, near to end of the day, I get reorganized. So I check any tasks that I have, my focus list. You know that I was watching this webinar that was talking about like side comment, right? But to-do list versus focus list. And when you have a to-do list, it's like you are in this urge to complete items. But sometimes you really need to focus on some things and not necessarily complete them exactly now and here. So I work on my focus list, clear my action items, and then go through my inbox. People who know me know that I'm crazy about inbox organization. So it's always very clean. It doesn't matter how many focus or to-do actions do I have, but it needs to be organized. So I organize that. And then I start the action. So, I get back to people who are waiting for an answer, work on some code approvals, talk to team leads or PMs with any, situations they have and they need help with, check numbers, whatever, I need to do through the day. And I start what I call, this is an inside joke, the call center Conti. So Conti is one of my last names. So generally I'm in meetings. So I always joke about having my own contact center where I'm in the phone talking to people. So, that gets started in the morning.
Wow. It sounds like you have a busy day ahead of you. I that's a really great insight actually, but the focus list, because you're right, it is like a for me especially, it's just about kind of getting through that to-do list. I feel like it's a huge hurdle. And then you realize you haven't reflected much and you kind of want to go back and fix things. And that's one of, in marketing, one of the bigger things for us is a lot of it isn't so much, getting the final product out. It's about really perfecting it and like going back to it. And, it's never just a one and done for us. So I think that's a great tip that a lot of people could probably use.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess, in saying that, you're managing a lot of people, I guess you have like I hear a lot from managers that they really see potential in their teammates and they want to see them grow. So what is your vision for
Mm,
your department? What are some innovations that you're excited about? Could you like walk us through
yeah,
what makes it
absolutely.
exciting to work in your department?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, a couple of things to unwrap there, but as far as the vision goes, I really think that technology is the future. We are already living in the future in when it comes to technology. But my vision for the department and also tied to the innovation is making sure that we try to implement as much technological processes and you know apps and whatever we can use to improve the current processes that we have, which we're actually doing. So it's continuing in that trend. So I think that's very, very important. And regarding my contribution, what you were saying about seeing opportunities for the team members, seeing what they can improve on and how they can grow, I think that I always try to find opportunities for myself and for others where when you're a PM and I started as a BC, so you're just too focused on the day to day, getting projects in and out, getting things ready to delivery for delivery, getting things to the client. So sometimes you don't have the time or the focus to look around, and sometimes there are opportunities. So one of my contributions is to try to help people identify those opportunities so that they can improve and grow in an area that there might be a demand for but not an offer right now. So I try to focus on that, but then also on the day to day, just help with people, right? So I consider myself to be a helper. So try to help people around get things done, whatever they need. It's what I like the most about contributing with the team.
Amazing. So I guess, your point about technology is I feel like I feel like we're always trying to implement technology in all of our departments, right? Like even on our end, we've just started working with an automation platform and it's amazing. And it's then, you see other opportunities within that. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I feel like we're all kind of looking for new ways to innovate. And I feel like our tech
Yeah,
team both loves and hates us for it.
yeah,
But I know that they like when we come forward with kind of suggestions, how we could improve.
absolutely.
Um, so I feel like we're a pretty innovative team, I would say.
No,
Uh,
we are. One challenge that arises for me is that people in general sometimes are a little bit risk averse. So when
yeah.
production, when they have their own processes, okay, I know how to do this. I do it, like automatically because I know all the steps. And you try to introduce an innovation that it will be for the better. At the beginning, they need to get used to the idea of changing the way of doing things. But once you cross that barrier that we always cross it, then it's a whole different world, and you can do a lot more with less resources and time. So it's great.
And especially, in the industry that we work in, that change management element, I feel like it's for some companies, it might be something that happens every two
Mm,
to 3 years. But I feel like in the language services industry, because there's, always talk of, neural MT and, automating your processes and TMs, and there's
yeah,
constant innovations going on. So I feel like it's really admirable to be in a position where you're not only, trying to motivate your teams and there's, so many projects ongoing and we're always so busy, but you're trying to manage that change as well. Quite
yeah,
often, I would imagine. Like I know for
yeah,
us, we had a lot of changes implemented in the last year or two. Even before my time at CQ, there were changes going on, on the back end that you don't always see. So it's great to hear kind of, I feel like for us, we're all kind of we're a pretty tight knit team, but when we're in our departments doing our roles, there's never much of a crossover between
yeah,
certain departments, and we don't know what's going on. And there's a lot that we can actually relate on,
yeah,
that I think is super
absolutely.
interesting. So it's really interesting you bring up the point of change management because I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah, I feel that I always try not to get comfortable with anything I'm doing. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
always ready to do something different. So I think that's you know things change all the time, and yeah, it's true. I mean, many times we don't see what's going on in other departments, but I'm sure we'll have interesting things to share about what we do every day.
Especially since, for a lot of people, I imagine one of the major changes was just transitioning to working from home. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh, that was a
yes.
big one. Like for all of the people working in the office, I saw how they struggle to, start working from home. So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this year has been an interesting one. So actually, on the point of that kind of working from home thing, we're all kind of separated from each other.
Yeah.
I feel like what I'm finding is people don't like to jump on calls randomly, right? So, if you're in the office, you might walk over to someone and you might get, hey, I
Mm,
need your help with this, or can you like sit down with me and explain this? But when we're working remotely, I feel like we're all a little bit too scared to hit that call button or be like, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Some of us are more confident in it than others. And it's one thing that we're kind of, the theme of this year is unity.
yeah.
And trying to build that unity is something that is like a high priority for a lot of us. But we're all kind of like trying to find ways to do it that we don't feel like we're bothering people or, everyone's so busy.
Mhm.
So for your team specifically, and, any advice that you might have for other CQers who are trying to build unity, what are you doing for that? And what do you think we could be doing better as a whole team?
Okay, so unity, well, as you said, meetings and communicating in general, it's different when you work from home because the schedules work differently, right? So I think that for our department at least, being aware of where things are at, and communication does not necessarily need to be a meeting. Sometimes a meeting makes most sense because you get the most out of it, but being in touch, chatting via Teams or whatever platform you use, making sure that you ask people like what are you up to, do you need anything? So I think that contributes to the unity. However, I think that what creates unity is working towards a common goal. So when you're aligned on a goal and the different people have that goal in mind, unity comes along because you're all working together towards that objective. So if we're working together on something, then we will both make sure that we are going towards the right direction. And this is not only for like the production department, but in general, that each department has their own objectives, right? And their own way of doing things. But then, of course, we all have the same common goals as a company, right? So reminding ourselves that we have the same goals, I think that contributes to being more united as a team overall.
I would 100% agree with you. And it's really interesting because one of the things that the marketing department, I feel like we're sometimes a little bit more removed from people because a lot of our work is not client facing. It's
Mhm.
more or less, the social element, the creative elements, the email campaigns. So we're kind of the vehicle for the sales team, for the
Yeah,
production teams. But what's really interesting is that recently I found that there have been a lot more opportunities for marketing and production to work together on certain
yeah,
projects. At the moment, we're working on a super interesting project that, I think a lot of us are really passionate about. And, sitting in on those meetings, maybe I don't have a lot to contribute because maybe my role isn't super specialized in whatever we're working on. Maybe I'm more kind of versed in the creative side of it. But hearing kind of everyone have that dialogue and speaking from different perspectives is so interesting. I found that as well with, when I was interviewing Carmen for our first episode, it's that same thing of talking about, the tech team and marketing. We feel like we should be worlds apart, right? Because
right.
why do we need to intersect? But then, you hear from them that like, there's opportunities here and we would like to work with you on this. And, we would always love to share, like, how can we promote our technology on social media in a creative way? Because you see
Yeah,
a lot of, other companies in lots of different industries kind of promoting their innovations. So I think that this year has been a challenge for finding that unity, but it's presented some really interesting opportunities.
yeah,
So I would 100% agree with you that, working towards that common goal, we're here for one reason. We're all sharing the same goal. Just
yeah.
being reminded of that sometimes is all that we really need.
Yeah, exactly. We're all looking forward to improving lives. So, working
Exactly.
together toward that make us a unit.
And I think not that we get lost in that, but sometimes when we revisit that, we realize, sometimes I'll just be working on a social media post and I'll realize, I'll get a piece of feedback from someone saying, I really love that you put out this piece of information because I didn't know it before.
Mm-hmm.
Or, recently we ran a campaign for the COVID vaccine and demystifying kind of the
Yes.
information around that. And we made it, available in Spanish as well. Slight promo for our social media channels if you want to check those out. And someone got back to us and said this was really helpful. I was able to share this with my community. And that, it's just a little reminder
Yeah.
that we are all working towards that common goal. And I guess, for our closing question, kind of in that same vein, is how would you kind of advise someone with NCQ? Sometimes again, we get so locked into our own departments and our own roles that we don't see opportunities for development, we don't see opportunities for like growth. So what advice would you give as someone who's been here 5, 6 years at this point? You
Yes.
know, um, what would you say to them if they're kind of trying to find that way to kind of climb the ladder and grow a little bit more in the company?
Yeah, well, I think that paying attention, right? Like paying attention to what you're doing and what happens around you. Because when you are, a PC, a PM in the production world, generally just you just take a look at the projects. But, take a couple minutes and we all think that we will like lose time, but really it's an investment to just see around like what type of projects you're doing, what type of projects your colleagues are doing. Do you see something that interests you? How can you build from that? So, for example, if you notice that there's a higher demand for cultural adaptation projects and there's no one who always takes them, and maybe you can be the person who is the go-to guru for those type of projects, right? So paying attention, I would say investing a little bit of time to pay attention to what happens around you and seeing what opportunities can you also build for yourself, because if you identify that and you come up with, okay, I want to be the cultural adaptation guru moving forward, probably you are going to get it and you're going to get the opportunity to build that and work with someone to help you there. So I would say that a little bit of time investment and paying attention.
Absolutely, because you're the one who knows your role, right? You're the one who knows what is needed and, what you're good at and what, could be beneficial for you and the company. And it is,
Mhm.
about having that dialogue and kind of, being a little bit creative and a little bit, taking that risk a little bit. I feel like a lot of us tend to undersell ourselves and think that, oh, if they don't have it already, they probably don't need it. And sometimes you just need to be like, hey, I've noticed that there's this opportunity and I think it will be great if, we explored it a little bit more. And who knows, you could be
Yeah.
the next Lucia one day.
Well, we always have the no already, right? People sometimes are afraid to ask, but sometimes you win more than you lose asking, because probably you'll get a yes for an answer, or at least an opportunity to do something different.
And our CEO has that saying, right? You don't get what you don't ask for.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is, it's true. What's the worst that could happen? You gotta know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Not the
absolutely.
worst. Not the worst. I think we've all been rejected for
Yeah,
multiple things in our lives, and it's not killed us. So
yeah, absolutely.
well, that's great, Lucia. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been so interesting to learn kind of about your perspective working with CQ, and I think a lot of people are going to be super interested. I hear your little pup barking
I
in the
have three
background.
dogs. Yeah, thank you, Sophie. I mean, this was great. Oh well, they are saying goodbye as well. I'm sorry
They
about that.
wanna they wanna feature it.
Yes, yes, yes. I
That's
have
one of
three,
the
so
joys. One of the joys from working from home. Don't hide it. Embrace it.
no, absolutely. I absolutely love my dogs, so I have three of them. But yes, thank you so much for this time. It was awesome. I had an awesome time, and hopefully we can see your interview as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you being interviewed. So let's see.
Oh, I would love that. Maybe one day. We got
Yeah.
to get through our interesting team first.
Yours is very
I
interesting as
talk
well.
too much.
Me as well. Well, thank you so much, Sophie.
Thank you, Lucia.
Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
everyone, for joining us. And make sure that you tune in for the next episode with our mystery guest.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye.